Fukusan! Fukusan! Ryo-san! Fukusan! No matter.
So, yesterday, for the first time, I finished Shenmue on the Sega Dreamcast, first released in 1999. This is a 4-disc game, so pretty big game. 3 discs of the sort of gameplay and story side of the game,
Your son.
and then 1 disc is like an online, call it Passport, it's like an online feature,
Under the cherry tree.
so it doesn't really work anymore. So like I say, first released in 1999, originally developed as a Saturn title, but that was canned. Apparently it was really hard just to like get the power out of the Saturn that Shenmue required. There are some YouTube videos out there of Saturn footage, looks pretty decent, to its credit. So obviously the Dreamcast bombed after a bit, so sales weren't going too well, so they cancelled the Dreamcast, Saturn, sorry, and so Shenmue was moved to be a Dreamcast release. Overall, it's rumoured to have cost around $47 million just to do the first Shenmue, and then $70 million overall for the first and the second title in the series. There's not been a third one. The nearest you'll get to carry on from Shenmue would be the Yakuza series, but there's only a few basic similarities, like running around in a free city and combat. So the title was developed by the AM2 wing of Sega, so it's sort of Yu Suzuki's brainchild. He's responsible for such awesome arcade games as Space Harrier, Hang On, Virtua Fighter. Space Harrier and Space Harrier and Hang On. They actually appear in the game as arcade cabinets that you can play by using your in-game money. It was sort of marketed as what they called free. It was full reactive eyes entertainment. What this meant was you had like a day and night pattern. You went to sleep in the game. A day lasts about an hour, and you also had changing weather. The game takes place, starts off just before Christmas, and then you get to Christmas, so then you got snow and people walking around in Santa costumes and whatnot. Another thing that was quite unique at the time was every single character in the game is voiced. So even if they're not a key character, they're just like someone walking around, then they do have dialogue that they will speak to you. For instance, there's like some guys walking around dressed as Santa at Christmas, and then they'll go like ho 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 or something. So that was groundbreaking at the time. Throughout the game there's various things you can interact with, including like in the main character's Ryu Hazuki, and in his house you can interact with drawers, open them up. There's a cassette player that you can get. You can pick up tapes. There's also vending machines, shops. You can go in, buy tapes, buy food. Not really sure what relevance food has, but maybe it's something to do with a raffle that you get to partake in. There's prizes like a boombox and such to play cassettes on. So the combat in the game, originally this game was going to be a sort of Virtua Fighter RPG. So combat system is heavily influenced by Virtua Fighter, so if you played Virtua Fighter you'll be sort of familiar with this. It's not the same, there are some differences, but on the whole very similar. Locations, you've got your own home that you start off in, and you've got like a way, I'd say like where your neighbours are, just a random bit. So you go through that, then you got Securigalka, or however you say it, just like a little suburb, not really much going on there. And then you go into Dubuita, and that's your main town centre with all the shops and the arcade. There's also a bus stop there, and that's basically where you go to catch a bus to the harbour. Later on in the game you actually get a job at the harbour, driving a forklift, basically shifting crates around from various warehouses and whatnot. And every day before you start work you have like a little race, and you get a different forklift toy. I say different, it's just got a different number to it. You get a different number depending on where you come in the race. Like if you get first place you get number 1. So that's basically what goes on in the game. Obviously that's not the story, I haven't touched on the story yet. Now this was originally sort of meant to be a 3-part game. Obviously there was a sequel, Shenmue 2, third one.
Are you okay?
Despite demand from hardcore Sega fans, has never been released. It has been hinted at, but we'll have to wait and see on that. So basically the whole series ends on a cliffhanger at the moment. So Shenmue 2, basically at the start your father is killed by this guy called Landy, and the game is about sort of seeking revenge on him, but as it's a 3-part thriller with only 2 parts, you don't get to exactly revenge, you don't even, you know, directly meet the Landy guy, see him in some cutscenes and whatnot. But yeah, it's a very gripping story. It is slow moving, so don't expect a edge of your seat sort of game, but it is very interesting. Myself, I'm a fan of games like Fable. When it comes to RPGs, I'm not a fan of. I haven't really played Zelda or anything like that, so I don't know how it stacks up against that, but I did find it a very enjoyable title. So much as I've ordered the second one, I've actually ordered it on the Xbox, just due to price really. It's a lot cheaper than the Dreamcast sequel. So overall I'd definitely recommend picking this up. You can actually get the Dreamcast with this for less than you'd pay for the new Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. So there'll be lots of people going out and buying that, so I don't really see why you shouldn't go out and buy this as well. With the Dreamcast, you know, you get a whole console with this. So I'll be waiting for the second one. I did actually used to have the second one, but
Space Harrier.
I suppose because I've not played the first one, the first time round I had a Dreamcast, I didn't really get the story, so I was just going around thinking what the hell's going on here. You know, it was just a slow game and the story didn't make sense to me. But this time round I've played the first one, so I'm ready for the second one. Overall, this is definitely get this. If you've got a Dreamcast, get it. If you've not got a Dreamcast, get a Dreamcast with it. It's not going to cost you much. You could probably get them for £30. Dreamcast and Shenmue, so you've got no reason not to. What's happening, guys? That faint sound of a fan in the background can only be the sound of a Sega Dreamcast whirring away, with a nice breeze coming out of the side of it. Yeah. So yes, it's time to play some games for one of my favourite consoles of all time. Unfortunately, not a lot of people bought into it. Trusty cup of tea here. And yeah, so actually, I don't know whether this is the first time, I'm going to play a pirated game before anyone tries to have me hung, drawn and quartered. I don't really believe in piracy, and I prefer to actually have the game. Obviously, well, I've not actually said the game I'm going to be playing. It's going to be Soul Calibur, and I have owned the game for current gen consoles, so yes, I have given the developers, assuming it's the same team, which it probably isn't, I've given the developers my money, and if I did buy a second-hand copy of Soul Calibur, then they wouldn't be getting any money anyway. But here's a game I will probably pick up at some point. For the Dreamcast, it's just a case of when I get round to it. Thought I would play some Dreamcast just to break the monotony of the Xbox gaming that I've been doing recently. So Soul Calibur is a Namco game. It's a sequel to Soul Blade, which was a PlayStation game. Unfortunately, there was never a sequel to that on the PlayStation, and yes, Soul Calibur is kind of Tekken, another Namco game obviously, but with swords. It's an excellent series of games. The last ones I've played, I don't believe it's the latest one, but the last game in the series I played, I think it was something like 4, the one with the Star Wars characters in. That was very cool. Seems a bit sluggish, the loading. That's one reason I don't like pirate games on systems like the Dreamcast. When people used to say back in the day that, oh, pirate games knacker your laser and all this. Well, oh, back. It's actually Shenmue 2. I thought it was Soul Calibur. So fuck it. Let's continue our game of Shenmue. That one. Shenmue 2, fuck that. There's me chatting about fucking Soul Calibur this, Soul Calibur that. I really did think it was actually Soul Calibur. That's just how ridiculous my fucking channel is. So yes, Shenmue 2, sequel to one of my favourite games. And let me just spin round, and yes, so Pirate Gaming, let's talk some more about that. So I want to talk Pirate Gaming, here we go. There's fucking Shenmue 2 for the Xbox, so I do own a physical copy of this game, even if I don't own it for this console. I think the way it should be is that if they're going to do you know, DRM licensing and shit like that, then you should basically, you know, a downloadable game, you should be able to play it on all systems. Because at the end of the day, it's a bonus and it's a reason to go out and buy all the consoles. Maybe that's a reason for them to not do it. But yeah, close that. So if you don't know, my channel is shit. Why am I trying to talk again? Just ignore the talking shit that's going on screen. Yeah, it would be a reason to buy all the consoles if they did like a DRM licensing system where you could buy a game and play it on every system, or even a cut price option. Say you could go onto Xbox Live and purchase a game and then pay like, I don't know, £1 extra to play it on another system or whatever. I don't think that would ever happen, but one way yeah, you could do it is like voucher redemption. So you actually go to the publisher's website, buy the game, and you get a voucher for 360. Well, it wouldn't be 360, it'd be Xbox One, PS4. So obviously you're not going to see these changes before. So anyway, Shenmue 2, a sequel to the first Shenmue game, and it's a kind of a life simulation. And it's in the first Shenmue, your dad got killed by this land deer something, I think. I did a video on Shenmue. It's been a long time since I've played it, so I'm not up to speed on it. Probably have to watch the DVD that comes with Shenmue 2 on the Xbox to get up to speed. But basically, there's loads of things you can do in this this game, in particular compared to the first game. You have to get a job again. But you know, it's a great looking game. Definitely needs a what's this place? Definitely needs a third game in the series, something to tie it up. So hopefully that will happen one day. There's not really much point me progressing and advancing the story, so I'm just going to mince around, show you the stuff that's kind of on the side. And to be honest, because it's a long time since I've played this, I had it when I had my Xbox first time round. I bought it from someone at work for a £5, having not played the first game. So I've got no tokens whatsoever, So you got a slot machine here and a slot fucking place, and you can usually talk to people. I think everyone you can talk to. Well, they might just tell you to piss off, but you can talk to people. I think pre-market quarters where we need to look for the story. Yeah, I think this game does have Japanese speech in it, probably because it's a burnt copy of the game rather than an original disc. It's not working at the moment, but the Xbox version has English voice acting. There's a really cool feature from the first game where you learn moves. There's only about 3 moves to learn, but if you learn them moves, then you can carry your save game over to Shenmue 2. Unfortunately, when I tried to do that with this game, it spat its dummy out and said that the file was corrupted or something like that. I don't know whether that's just because it's sort of region locked and I was trying to load a PAL save game into a US game or what, I don't know. So, pool hall, yay. For me, this game's a lot more expansive over the first game. There's just a lot of things you can do in it. Here we can open a book. Why is it that book there? That's random. Oh no, the book was just, you can do that anywhere, you know, like there. But, and you got these electronic darts machines. Unfortunately, obviously it said I've got no tokens, but that's another little mini game. The thing is that the next part in the story is for me to go and get a job and get some money, but that's kind of where it falls flat on its arse for me. Shenmue 2, you want to jump in straight into the story and continue the story, but then it's like boom, you have to get a job. Going back to the save game feature, apparently one of the guys in the first game, if you, is that closed? That's closed. If you defeat him, then he's like easier to beat in Shenmue 2 or something like that. But if you lose to him, he's harder to beat. What do we have here? You've got the old soft drinks. In the first game, you used to buy soft drinks. There was no real point to them other than every so often you got one that was a winner, and you basically could redeem these vouchers in these tomato convenience stores, which there just happens to conveniently be one next to the soft drink machine. And yeah, you can get out of the fucking way, bitch. There's stuff you can buy somewhere. There we go. No. Can change. What's that one? That's a little map. Kind of weird the way Shenmue controls, because you look around with the analog stick and then you walk with the D-pad. It takes a bit of getting used to if you've never played Shenmue before. Can't remember whether the game's actually in China. It's supposed to be in China. That's a Shenmue 1. Been a while since I played it, but you basically fight a load of thugs at the end of it, and then jump on a ship trying to find Landy, whatever you want to call him. But yeah, we're not really getting any sort of idea of voice acting or anything in this game. Fuck's sake. Kind of glitching there a bit. Get out of my fucking way, douchebag. So bugs do rear their head even in the formidable Shenmue 2 on the Sega Dreamcast. And doesn't let us run into the road and commit suicide. Probably a good thing. A bit more running around. Can't remember where back the way we came was. Now there it was, I think. Yeah, I think the next step in the story of this game after you've well, you need a job to buy stuff, but it's to find an apartment building, and then I think that's about as far as I ever got with Shenmue 2. When I played Shenmue 1 I kind of got it, so I'll get Shenmue 2 a bit more now, but if you jump straight into Shenmue 2, the reason I jumped straight into Shenmue 2 was basically because I had an Xbox at the time. Like I said, I bought it off someone for a £5. Actually ended up selling it for about 20 quid. It's a game that hovers around that sort of mark now. Popular series with die-hard fans. Don't fuck with the beloved Shenmue 2. Like a charm quarter. And it doesn't look very charming or very lucky. Definitely a game that needs current gen remakes. It's almost or it's a current gen sequel, because it's almost current gen in the way it plays. It was way ahead of its time when it come out. I think that was maybe the problem. People just didn't quite get it. I think it still looked pretty decent if they released Shenmue 1 and 2 on PSN and Xbox Live, just give it a HD lick. It looked pretty nice. Obviously get rid of these little loading screens, just make it one big area. Obviously it has to load due to memory limitations and whatnot. Nice atmospheric music in the Shenmue games as well. If you played the first game, you'll probably have played the second one. I really don't have any excuses for not completing this sequel, other than the fact that I'm goddamn lazy. Also comes on quite a few discs. Cannot remember how many. The first game was 3 discs, and then you had a passport disc as well. Who's this bitch? Talk to her about money. Part-time job, yeah. Lucky hit stand owners. Not seen a lucky hit stand owner. I've probably ran past them and not noticed them. Well, basically they're lucky hit stand owners. I think it's like the pachinko, whatever you call that shit, where you drop the ball and it's got the needles, and you win or lose depending on where the ball actually lands. It's got them in, and you bet, and It's not really a part-time job, it's more of a gambling kind of game. I do remember getting a job in this where you you load up timber and cut timber and all of that malarkey. It's actually quite a wide open area that's available from the beginning of the game. You know, you can just run around for ages. Buy a map if you're having trouble finding your way around. I would buy a map, but I'm just running around aimlessly and chatting rubbish, just taking in the sights. Flower King electrical shop. Yeah, there's just all these shops, and you know, all crafted and modelled, and just a sight to behold on a system like the Dreamcast. I've actually gone around in circle and come back, so yeah, easy to get lost in this game, both literally and mentally. So yeah, that's a look at Shenmue 2. I actually put on the Dreamcast thinking it was Soul Calibur, as you'll be aware at the start of the video, and it's actually Shenmue 2. And I wonder how many people will comment saying, what the fuck, this is a Shenmue 2 video, why is it Soul Calibur? And then they'll be like, oh, I commented before like 2 minutes was up or something. So my bad for that, but with my channel being completely badass ghetto, I don't give a fuck shit. That's the way it's going to remain. And we have a nice little cutscene here. What's this all about? Oh, this is where I was looking for with the apartment building. So somehow I managed to run around long enough that I got to where I need to be, and yeah, I won't be saving the game. There's not much point, but oh, look at that plane going over. Nice touch, just showing you random little things there that can happen in life, a plane going overhead. So yeah, Shenmue 2, if you like what you see on screen, then it's definitely worth playing, but play the first one before you play this. It'd just be sacrilege to jump in on Shenmue 2 and not know what's actually going on or what's any of the epic story. Definite thumbs up. So, a magnificent game for the Xbox, Shenmue 2. And inside there's a Sega Dreamcast version, I believe, of Shenmue 2. And also you get Shenmue the movie, which is basically all of the scripted scenes. Well, it's basically a playthrough of Shenmue that you can watch if you're not up to speed with the original game, which is a great bonus, but kind of makes the first one unplayable if you've completed the second one. But then the story, you need to play Shenmue, the original, really, to get excited about Shenmue 2. It's just a great game. So I've done a video of the Dreamcast version of this game. So basically I'm just going to look at the graphics and game, blah blah fucking blah. So I had this game when I had an Xbox originally. I bought it off someone at work for a £5 because he just got a 360, so he was selling all of his games to like buy more games or whatever. And Turns out, when I came to sell my Xbox, it was actually worth about 18-20 quid, which is about what it's worth now. So yeah, it's a game that's kept its value, unless obviously you paid 40 quid for it. But I don't think it was a great seller for the system, hence why it's keeps its value. Sought after by collectors and whatnot. It's a good thing about the Xbox, there are a few titles, like there's a Jurassic Park Operations something or other game, and that's worth a bit, because it's not the most popular system ever, especially compared to the PS2, which was its opposition at the time, and obviously the Xbox came out a bit later. It was more powerful, but we all know that doesn't necessarily make that much of a difference, as long as you're in the ballpark graphics wise for the generation. And have to look at the 360 and the PS3. So you get this nice cinematic opening to the game. And then you get my man getting off a boat, and it's not really the most informative of game beginnings, but the thing is that if you played the first game, it makes sense. You don't need any kind of explanation whatsoever, because at the end of Shenmue you got on a boat. At the start of Shenmue 2 you get off a boat. At the end of Shenmue 1, or just Shenmue, you knew why you were getting on the boat. So in Shenmue 2, if you played the first one, you know why you're getting off the boat, so that's okay. Seeing as this is a, if you want one big game that was split into, originally I think it was 3 games that's supposed to be split into, but they've just never had the third one. It might have been 5 games, I'm not sure.
First, I need to find one's eye.
This game has actual English speech in it, that's the word I'm looking for. The Dreamcast version, the European release, I think it just has the subtitles in Japanese. So if you're blind and or you just can't bother to read subtitles, or you're just completely illiterate or dyslexic or something, then this is probably the version for you. One thing you do have to get used to with Shenmue is the controls. It does seem a bit backwards because you use the D-pad, which kind of harks back to the Dreamcast, because
I'm looking for a place called One's Eye.
it had one analog stick that wasn't in the best position, and obviously the best use for the analog stick was the camera, so you basically moved around using the D-pad. It does make the character movement feel kind of wooden, especially with the actual animations. It just looks like someone who has a 6-inch wide fucking arsehole, and he walks like accordingly, you know, like he's gonna fucking explode feces everywhere if he doesn't walk round like a rigid motherfucker.
Need it to her, it'll be cheap.
Yeah, like your mama. God, this is, I don't know how many times I've started this game from the beginning, and I've just never got anywhere near getting into it and completing it.
Someone just took a
But
picture
after
of you.
finishing the first game, I really
We're
need
going
to.
to
It's
try and
just
show it to you later.
it's hard to motivate yourself when you know there's not a third game, and
Okay,
it's just going to leave you with another
Not all people are
cliffhanger at the
easy.
end.
I understand.
If you need a place to stay, try that Free Stay Lodge.
To also check out my Dreamcast
You can always
videos
stay there
for
for free.
Shenmue and Shenmue 2,
You were good to her on the
Um,
ship when she was scared.
because this, like I say, this
Well,
is
take care
a
of
bit of a
yourself.
pointless video because I've done a video on the Dreamcast version. Differences are obviously the graphics are kind of a bit more solid in this version. I think the Dreamcast version's got a bit more colour vibrancy. You do get differences
You were heading for
between
Long
consoles
Valley,
in
right?
with
Yes.
regards to the colour palettes, and
Which way is it to one's eye?
obviously, like I said, the difference in the speech. You know, both games you get
And keep going to
subtitles,
get to
but
Long's Eye.
in Shenmue 2 European release for the Dreamcast, it's subtitles with Japanese speech. Also, one difference is, although I couldn't get this to work, on Shenmue 1 you learn like some combos and stuff like that, and some moves, and you can transfer them over to Shenmue 2, and apparently there's a couple of bits in the game where if you like defeated this guy then he's not as strong in Shenmue 2, but I couldn't get my save to transfer from Shenmue 1 to Shenmue 2, so if you completed Shenmue and you're planning on doing that, then don't be too beat up if you have to play Shenmue 2 on the Xbox, because you never know, it could have failed just like it did when I tried it. So yes, might as well round it off there. Just a quick look at Shenmue 2 for the Xbox. I didn't really look at the game, just explain some differences I guess. But like I say, I've done a couple of other Shenmue videos and that's all I can say really. Just check them out. So congratulations to Old School Brian on 1,000 subscribers. If you haven't checked out his channel already, it's an awesome channel. YouTube.com/ if I can get it in focus, maybe not. Yeah, youtube.com/ Old School Brian, school spelt with a K. So yeah, this is my video response to his question. What would you have for Christmas if money was no object and Santa just popped through your chimney? So my answer is Shenmue 3 for my Sega Dreamcast 2, because obviously Shenmue is awesome. I'm actually getting Shenmue 2 again for the Xbox so I can play it on my 360, but yeah, obviously it would be nice to finish off the trilogy. So yeah, failing that, that's not really going to happen, is it? Shenmue 3. So I'm thinking Skyrim. I can't really think of anything else at the moment that's new, or you know, I don't really want to go old retro with my answer. So yeah, I'd have to say Elder Scrolls even, Skyrim. So that's just my quick video response. Not really much else to say other than keep up the great work and congratulations on the 1,000 subscribers.